Long before gumbo, jambalaya, and black-eyed peas became staples in New Orleans, West African cooks were mastering rice, seafood, and spice along the coast of Senegal. Now, through food, the legacy of Senegal lives on in New Orleans kitchens. And tonight, we're going to Dakar NOLA, where Chef Serigne Mbaye reveals how African traditions shaped one of America's most celebrated cuisines.
When you get a chance to get fish back, when I first moved to New Orleans about 10 years ago, I realized that New Orleans is, to me, one of the most African cities outside of Africa.
Every dish cooked inside Chef Serigne's kitchen is an ode to both the past and present, a bit of New Orleans with memories of Senegal.
I got some good food, man.
Thank you so much.
I got some good old food. So we have some grilled shrimp, some mushrooms, and some suya, which is kind of basically our Creole seasoning.
Why the focus on seafood?
Because when I moved to New Orleans, I realized that Senegal is surrounded by the coast, and New Orleans have the Gulf. So we have red snapper coming from the Gulf.
But first we did shots.
All right, go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. A Thai is a traditional tea that is served back home in Senegal, and the tea is a symbol of hospitality.
Okay.
At the bottom, you find ginger and turmeric. On the top, you find a little bit of mint.
When I'm eating this, where am I tasting? Not what am I tasting, where am I tasting?
You're just tasting deliciousness. That's what you're tasting. Just being grateful to the ancestors for allowing.
I know, you gotta get that bite in, right?
Without them, this wouldn't be possible. So for me, it's like everything that I'm doing is inspired by West Africa. Right. It's inspired by Senegal, by New Orleans, you know what I mean?
There's a dish on Chef's menu that draws another connection to a more painful part of history. While black-eyed peas are seen as Southern comfort food, it made its way across the Atlantic during one of the most violent migrations in human history. The enslaved carried them as seeds, planting them on Southern plantations, using their knowledge to sustain themselves.
I visited Senegal. I went to this island called the Greater Island, which is one of the door no return. Before they passed the door no return, each single person was weighted, and that weight had to be 60 kilos. If they were not 60 kilos, they knew they weren't going to make it through the middle passage. Right. So what they did was they had to fatten them up by feeding them black-eyed peas and palm oil. As a kid, I kind of grew up a dish that black-eyed peas and palm oil is always associated as a poor man food.
Right.
But living in New Orleans for the past decade and seeing how black-eyed peas is celebrated,
yeah,
you know, especially New Year's Day.
Yeah, black-eyed peas and cabbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it brings me many joy. So I wanted to tell my own story into it. So right now on our current menu, we have a dish that is pretty much a staple. We call it the last meal.
Right.
To honoring our ancestors. I think food is the last hope really connecting us as people. Every story that I'm telling is focusing on our people, you know, from African to African American to anyone from the diaspora. You know, every day I'm celebrating our people. You know, I'm telling our story. I'm staying true to who I am, and that's what it's about.